Hello and welcome to the BJ Show Sports Chat, the newest name for the BJ Show. Let's get straight into this very special one, episode 2. I'd like to introduce to this once again my co-host. He is a love of art, music, and also just get into a bit of teaching degree. So welcome, Aiden. How you been? What's been up to with students since we last chat?
No, I've been good. So this past time, we had the cricket finals on at Karen Rolton Oval, and I've been at uni doing all kinds of uni stuff.
Oh, that's great. Short and sharp. So hey, welcome back to another episode of the BJ Show, and we've named this, as I mentioned before, Sports Chat. So Sports Chat is mainly about, obviously, sports, different types, such as footy, Aussie rules. We can say we can have a bit of soccer as football. We have NRL, National Rugby League, and more. So let's get straight on to the show. And as I mentioned, welcome Aiden. So we've got so much to get through and so much little. So the biggest news, as you mentioned, on the 18th of March 2024, if you saw the biggest news of the 19th team, Tasmanian Devils. We'll talk about the basketball surprise, but my thought of that. We've got the net 16 starting with Essendon.
Starting with Essendon.
Yep. And the first 2 rounds of the interesting of the AFL, we cannot get that started. I can't be pumped about more than anything else. Aiden's BTISTW about games at the MCG and St Kilda's win. Oh, I can't wait for it as well. 90 seconds for the week. Special mention of F1 in Melbourne, Ferrari 1 and 2. Well, Aiden will get through all that and much more as well. Much madness has begun. Oh, believe me, there's been some upset games. We'll get through all that with some 16 games, and W win Shefford's Shield final between Tasmania by 377. So, and the BJ Other Sports and Updates report. So let's get straight into it. So there's so much. I don't know which one. I think we should just get straight into the review of the sit.
Let's start with Team 11 from last year. So we're going to start with the Essendon Football Club.
Take it away, Aiden.
Now, Essendon, I think they're in an odd place. Like, they didn't have a great year last year by what they were hoping to achieve, but then they went out and they brought in some new players. And from what I've seen of them so far this year, I don't see them improving from where they finished last year. I think another 11th spot finish would be brilliant for Essendon. Because if your top signing, apart from Xavier Dersma, is a past his prime, well, even past retirement age, Todd Goldstein, try again.
Yeah, so, I've got a family member who does go for Essendon, and I've got to say, look, Essendon, like, Brad Scott into the team, okay, in that position they were, they're slightly better, but I do not see them playing finals, and I don't see it coming. Yeah, look, with Essendon, have they got they've got a bit of a, lot going on with, look, they've had a really good okay start to 2024, but 2023, as they're very close to playing finals. They're fast when they need that win. I think Essendon they're going to be similar spots. So let's get to my Adelaide Crows. Aiden, I'll let you share that part.
Okay, so Adelaide, 10th place last year. Don't want to be here saying this because I really had high hopes for them. I really did. I thought they're going to come in and they're going to be a genuine top 8 side. And they've lost their first 2 games to Gold Coast and to Geelong. Now, where that puts them is on 0 points. And in a league where the AFL's position right now, any games that you lose are so important because if you fall behind early, that's pretty much putting you on the back foot from the start. And these are 2 games where they're playing teams of their level, teams who are expected to be around the top 8, inside, outside, just on the edge of the top 8. So they're not losing games to the top 4 teams like the Collingwoods and the Brisbanes and the Melbourne. They're losing games to the teams they should really be beating if they want to be a top 8 team. And I definitely saw them as a top 8 team before the season. And their structure, I don't know what it is. Maybe their structure is so Thilthorpe heavy this year that with him out, then they're going to have to struggle to fix it and bring it back to a Walker heavy forward. But until that happens, I don't see them. But they've got Fremantle this week. I can't see them beating Fremantle on their current because of their structure. And they just need to fix it. And once they fix it, I think they will genuinely be running for a top 8 spot.
Yeah, totally agree with that. And yeah, look, take on your Fremantle Dockers that we agree. Look, every game's a test. How they play against, like, let's just start back on 2023. Look, it was a massive improved Adelaide Crows outfit, and I've got to say, fitness was the new level for Adelaide, and they surprised teams. You know, they never gave up against Collingwood, both less than 4 points. Brisbane, 6 points. And then the shock of all time against Sydney Swans. So, you know, they were down and they never gave up. Now, coming into 2024 against Gold Coast, yes, okay, they brought a new coach for Gold Coast, but he's just another opponent coach, not very good. And, you know, Gold Coast brought that pressure here, and Adelaide, the state could not cope with the heat. It's a different state. And good on Gold Coast, winning just, but Adelaide came out belong in that 4th quarter. Cannot win 4 quarters. You can't win 1 quarter footy. It's 4 quarters of team effort. Adelaide only won 1 quarter. Against Adelaide and Geelong, look, Geelong are very good. And, you know, congratulations to Lockie Murphy with his 100th game. You know, Tom Stewart from Geelong. You know, congratulations with their milestones. Now, it didn't took constantly. We got to perform good against Fremantle. If we don't do it, then there's some really struggles. Yes, we've got injuries, but you can't rely on Wire Phil for it forward. You can't rely on Tex Booker. He can just do his role. It's a team effort, but good luck to Adelaide against Fremantle in Perth. It's going to be a hard game, but believe in yourself. Well, let's now get into the Western Bulldogs Footscray Football Club. Aiden.
Good old Footscray. Don't you love to see it? Team's been called by their original name. No, in all seriousness about Western Bulldogs, I don't know how they're going to go this year because they lost to Melbourne quite badly, but then they beat Gold Coast, who everyone thought were going to run over them because they don't have Bailey Smith this year. So for the Bulldogs, for me, it's going to be a very up and down year, but I just think that they're just going to be another team on the edge of the top 8. They're going to fall down, but I think this year is going to be another year where they're sitting through that 9 to 11 range.
Awesome. So that's some really good points. Now, Western Bulldogs to me now, okay, they always got a good coach like Luke Beveridge coming in to coach the Western Bulldogs, and they take on Gold Coast in Ballarat. They know that oval very well at Mars Stadium in Ballarat. And, you know, how they play against Gold Coast, they outrun their opponents very smartly. You know, they've got a great leadership at the Western Bulldogs, like Monkus, captain this year, and I think he's going to be a good elite. He's got skills all over the field. You know, they won big, and you know it's a good test for Gold Coast not knowing how to play on this weather. So I think they'll learn some what they need to improve next week. So yeah, that's my thoughts from the Western Bulldogs. So let's get into Sydney Swans. Aiden.
South of Melbourne, here we go. Sydney, interesting case for Sydney. I've never seen Sydney have a bad year or a run of bad years because the pursuit of a premiership is what drives them, and they are, as much as I can't stand that they're at the top every single year, they are what every team in this league should be, a team that will not go down and will compete for a premiership every year. The signing of Brodie Grundy, that is a statement to the rest of the league. That is saying we're not going anywhere. We still believe we have a window and we just need to make a few additions, a few changes. And looking at where they are on the ladder right now, that's definitely the case. They genuinely definitely could be premiers this year if they keep this form going. And all they have to do is keep winning, because win your games. Win your premiership, there you go. Sydney will probably be on top for another 5 years, 10 years, probably forever. They won't ever go down.
Yep, agreed. Never go down. Downtown. South Melbourne Bloods. So, Sydney, I gotta say, like you said, Aiden, Brodie Grundy is a great pickup from Sydney. He did his development at Collingwood. Then he did his role at Melbourne. He made appears a quality ruckman in that verse Sydney and Melbourne a few weeks ago. In the ruck contest, when you go, you don't have to tap. You can go and use your body and win it. Every time Grundy and Matt Scorn verse each other, Grundy like a train session for Tinto Sue. They know each other, and that he's trying to make, like, he wants to show how good he can be on the footy field. And well done to Sydney as well. Big win over Essendon. High scoring football. Old school football is perfect, and I miss that. But overall, okay, Sydney had to adjust their forwards, their mids, their defence, and they have done so well with that. So that's my thoughts with Sydney. Now let's get to the great Western Sydney, the Western Giant, Aiden.
GWS. I did not think they would be playing in a prelim last year. I really did not. So they finished 7th last year, and they played in a prelim, and they took Collingwood to a point. This is a team who are in the window. I do not care what anybody says. GWS are in the window right now. They have the list and the talent to win a premiership, because the guys they've had from the start, like Toby Green, Harry Himmelberg, and the rest of the guys they've had from the start who are still there, are still part of that team. They're not guys who are falling off or going into retirement or moving on. They've kept their core, and now the payoff's going to come for GWS. They've been to a premiership a couple of years ago, should have been in one last year, I feel, lost out at the ends of Collingwood, but they're definitely in the window. Definitely see them as a top 4 side, definitely see them as a premiership contender, and they really should be very happy about their chances this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And they were good. They got a great fella, Toby Green. There's some great talent in there. And what I see with GWS, they got a great coach like Adam Kinsley. He's come out, GWS was, when they came to comp, they were down. But look at them now. Go and play anywhere. They are going to be hard to beat. And that opening round, I got to say, that was a response that now Giants saying, believe, and they had that much confidence, go into the Grand Western Sydney, tag on the Giants and the Pies. Now, we didn't see that response till that actually, let's show the comp we are good. And GWS did that perfectly, and they've done it since, the first game of the season to now. They are a top 4 side. They should be top 2, over Collingwood and Brisbane, and we'll discuss them later down another time. But, with GWS, they are and they've got the list. They've got all over the ground and great leadership. So, St Kilda, Aiden, I'll let you share that, and we'll share a little bit later about why St Kilda is your moment of the year.
St Kilda. Funny, we're here again. Another 6th place finish with no results last year for you, St Kilda. This is kind of what you do, isn't it? Find your way to the top 8 and then throw it away. Cuddly Ross is real. I don't know if this team can win a premiership, but they are a real threat. They've got, they've had some players move out, but they've still got a lot of their core from previous years that they've slowly built. And this is where I think that they just need to bring in some big name players and keep what they've got to really take that next jump. So for me, St Kilda, based on their opening games, I see them probably going to do the same, sort of 6 to 8, and then lose their first final. Yeah,
well, against GWS, a sold out crowd last year at the MCG, Saturday afternoon. Now, highest, the harder team to win, but didn't see St Kilda playing finals. And that was, since Ross Lyon come back and coach St Kilda, and he's a good, decent coach for St Kilda fans, and good on them. Yeah, so shortness of all to do with St Kilda. Do they have belief to play finals? well, I think they might just miss it by. So I gotta say with St Kilda, I don't think they don't have the belief to play final. So we're gonna end from there. Next time on the sports chat from the BJ show, we're going to be going from Carlton. So let's now take a break, and when we come back, there's more to come. Maybe some big news and reviews of the first 2 rounds of the opening round. We'll be back after this. Hello, we're back. And yes, welcome to the sports show. So now we're going to get into the previous the first rounds of the AFL 26 season. So I'll let Aiden to share those teams first, and I'll share my 2, and we'll go on from that. So Aiden.
Alright, so round 1, Thursday night football. The way the season should always start. Carlton versus Richmond. Here we go. So Carlton won the game by 5 points, but it was a very, very even game. The wagon wheel, or the Manhattan, it was up and down all throughout the game. I think the biggest lead either team had was about 10 points, and Carlton just struck in that last bit of the last quarter. So halfway through the last quarter, Carlton was the team that won the game. Richmond, good effort to them. It's probably one of their best efforts they're going to get this year. But it was Carlton that won the game in the end. So just looking over some of the stats. So Cripps had 31 touches. McKay had 3 goals for Carlton. Pressure, however, went to Richmond then. Curvis 8 tackles, and Bolter had the highest fantasy.
Yeah, so with Carlton, like Aiden said, if I can just see what am I on my screen, great start to Richmond. That's a response you want to see from your Tigers. Yeah, you went to the Gold Coast, you were challenged, and Carlton, slow start. You did against Brisbane, and you're down by 7 goals. You're down by 3 goals, and then also only a couple of points. So you were in that game. You never gave up. But it was the third quarter, Richmond totally outbounced. And it was the first game for Carlton was completely opposite. And, Richmond did respond. And like I said, congratulations on Richmond was a bounce back, but Carlton just responded. And the fourth quarter is their win. And like I mentioned, like Aiden mentioned, maybe we can get a bit more on the play. Well done to, 3 goals for that Noah Bowlett from Richmond's best, I believe, and maybe with Nick from Carlton with 24 touches. A big game, 5 marks, 7 tackles. So Carlton good, Richmond good. So let's now get into game number 2. Collingwood vs Sydney. So how can I really relate? Collingwood, you cannot do in front of your army, your fans, you got the job done. Sydney are a very good team. They cost you a win, knowing that Sydney kept pouring that first quarter. 6 behinds, what does it matter? 3 points up for quarter time, and 5 goals to 2 in the second. Now you're down of 3 goals, so 2.5 goals. Half time, 18 points down, 1 goal to 5, and another 3 goals to 4. So you won the first quarter and the final quarter. You were still lost by 5 goals. So there's some lessons from Collingwood. With a Sydney point of view, yes, you keep improvement. You keep 6 behind in the first quarter and 6 behind at the end of the game. You keep more goals. And I tell you what now, well done to Sydney coming to the Melbourne Cricket Ground. This is where you want to play in the big day, last day in September, and you played very well on the big oval. So I'll let over to Aiden to share Collingwood versus Sydney.
So this was a real statement for Sydney. It really was. I think the talk around Collingwood is they're going to be a premier again, they're going to be up there again. I don't know anymore. I'm starting to lose faith in Collingwood. And Sydney are showing again that they are a genuine contender this year if things keep going their way. So that is, in terms of statement wins and signature wins, Sydney's got the biggest win they could get. And now they just have to keep winning to be there the rest of the year. So if we look at it, okay, obviously Nick Dacos is going to get his 37 touches. That's going to happen. But Logan McDonald, 4 goals. James Rowbottom, 13 tackles. That is ridiculous against Collingwood from one player. So Collingwood are more the team in danger here, and Sydney will be fine, but Collingwood, they go into another big game next week, and I just don't know where they're going to end up this year. Alright, Saturday afternoon, Essendon versus Hawthorn. What a game this was. It was going to the Manhattan. It was actually quite an even game for quite considerable amount of the contest until Essendon kicked away in the last quarter. But there are positive signs from both teams there. So for Essendon, that's the win that they needed to be like, yes, our improvements were justified, and going forward, we're going to keep improving. And for Hawthorn, they were able to hang around, most of the game. They even had a lead at a couple of stages and kept it close from, the end of the first quarter up until 3/4 time. They were definitely in the contest. Looking over some of the stats, the stats lie here. The stats say that the game was very much Essendon dominated. McGrath, 33 touches, Drake Stringer, 4 goals, Archie Perkins, 12 tackles, Archie Perkins, 130 fantasy. So that tells you nothing. That doesn't tell you anything about this game. This was one of the best games of round 1 because each team kept coming back at each other until Essendon had that final surge and put the game away in the last quarter.
Yeah, so agreed. It's great to have Essendon at the MCG, Melbourne Cricket Ground. Well done. It's the same thing the previous game of... Anyway, moving forward, Hawthorn kicking poor. Essendon came out firing. They want to make a statement in front of the Essendon fans. And it was a decent crowd. 60,000 Saturday afternoon MCG. That's a decent crowd for Saturday afternoon football. Essendon started pretty even. What Aiden just mentioned. But the last quarter, 10 goals to... Well, my factor, 6 goals, 6. So you tell it's pretty accuracy, but, score stats don't matter. It's the team effort matters. And good effort to Hawthorn. That was okay perform. But you've got an improving goal kicking. But Essendon, well done on your win and great goal kicking. So let's get now into the 4th game. Now we head into Great Western Sydney Giants versus North Melbourne. So let's just go with North Melbourne 4 and then we'll get into Giants. Now, North Melbourne's first games for the season. Now, good goal kicking, but did they have the moment? They had so much in that contest. The first quarter, it was even. Good on them. They weren't down by 5-6 goals down. They were only a few goals down. Came in that second quarter, turned the game over. They were only down by 2 goals, 7. So I could not even calculate. 19 points. So 3 goals. In that contest, then unfortunately GWS, there's actually 5 goals to 2 as well. Another couple, 2 goals. Not great for behinds from GWS. You got to improve. There's a lot of teams out there are rushing for goals. And North Melbourne, 3 goals straight. So, only lost by 4 goals. So, North Melbourne did really well. West GWS, like I said before, goal kicking, you're struggling. You don't want to rush, settle. And well done to GWS with the win. But coming forward, Aiden can say this again, it was all GWS, like the Essendon Hawthorn game, the stacks on screen, Tom Green, 37 touches with 6 goals. Jesse Hogan, what a career was Tom Green, 145 fantasy, and Tom Green, again, 9 tackles. That's impressive. 37 disposals with 9 tackles is impressive. So, Aiden, I'll let you share Giants and Roos.
Yep, so what I was more impressed with was North Melbourne. Honestly, I thought that they would be a lot further away in this contest than they were, and to be, within three goals at half time, this is the improvement that's going to come from North Melbourne. And eventually, as we get into the later rounds of this year, those games are going to flip where they are able to go on and turn the tide on their opposition and win the game. So that's what stood out for me. GWS, we all know where they're at. North Melbourne are going to improve a lot this year. I think that this is just the start of North Melbourne's run up the ladder, and I think they could get, maybe 5 wins at the end of the year. and flip some games on its head and win games then probably weren't expected to win.
So now let's get into the next game. It's Saturday night footy for the first time for the year. For the first one, down at Geelong. Now my second team, Geelong Cats versus St Kilda. Now there's a lot going on in this history. If I can record back in 1999, is that correct? The last time St Kilda won in Geelong, the hardest oval to do. Now, before I get to Geelong, why do I choose Geelong as my second team? There's a little bit of an interesting story. So, this game was a really good test for St Kilda. You know, again, with the poor kicking. There's 3 teams. Anyway, moving forward, you know, good effort from St Kilda. You know, going, like I said, Watts into how St Kilda respond. They did. It was even in the first quarter. But 2 goals. 13 points, St Kilda. You never gave up. You let Geelong 7 minus points. You kicked 1 goal. You won that quarter. And 1 goal to nil. So Geelong should have won by a lot more. But you let them ball pressure and good effort. In the final quarter, 4 goals, 2-4. So very even. But Geelong, you know, there's some quite surprises. But I didn't see you kick more points than goals. So good effort by both teams. Aiden, let's get into you.
Okay, so Geelong versus St Kilda. Here we go. So for me, I think that this is, you know, a very much a game where Geelong won because the game was in Geelong. I feel like if that game is in Melbourne, then St Kilda win that game quite easily. And this is the thing about these teams who have these mysterious home grounds, like Western Bulldogs have Ballarat now all of a sudden. Geelong's always had Cardinia Park. Carlton should bring back Princes Park. Why don't we? This is the games that you've got to win. You've got to win your home game. Because here's the thing about the AFL. Last year, if I look at the ladder, the team top 8 was 8th place, had 12 wins. So if you win all your home games and then you get a couple of away games as well, you're in the top 8. And this is what Geelong have to look at. If we can turn Cardinia Park into a fortress again and then go out across the country and take some, we're going to be back in contention. For St Kilda, as I said, I feel like they win the game because obviously they were playing at Geelong. And that game, I think, showed them the belief going into round 2 and further on that they are a real side. They just have to put it together. And that's always been a problem with St Kilda. So moving on to the next game, and we really don't want to talk about this one, do we? It's Gold Coast versus Adelaide. Gold Coast, wow. That Manhattan just tells you a story there. Gold Coast all the way until I let the Crows back in the door in the last quarter. Ben's got his head on the desk next to me. This is hilarious. I just cannot fathom this thing with Adelaide. How do you let a team hold you to 1 goal, 1 point, 2 goals, and then suddenly come alive in the last quarter? Like, I get that it was raining and it was horrible and it's played in the Gold Coast and the Gold Coast is horrible. As a professional football team, there has to be some accountability to playing the game as it's played, and it did rain quite a bit during that game, and the Crows just weren't ready for that. So this has got to come into that preparation of knowing that the game plan could change at any moment. Wow. So leading disposal getters, we have Noah Anderson for Gold Coast. He also had led fantasy. But then the Crows had the outright goal leader in Joshua Shelley with 3 goals. And Rory Laird had 10 tackles. So Rory Laird's continuing his good form. Crows just need to turn it around and be ready to make a run.
So, yeah, well, we had a good pre-season. You're on the Gold Coast, warm. Gold Coast came out fine and Eddie. Matt Radwell, their midfield, at no time could not stop him. And you go to Gold Coast, they have improved. They really have. And they started well with 3 goals to 1. Adelaide, no goals with 1 point. Gold Coast made a wall. Wet football, you gotta realise, it doesn't matter where you play. You gotta prepare. Yeah, it's gonna rain. And it did in most of the game I mentioned. But the third quarter came and it was a little bit better. But it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough indeed. But it was the final quarter. You know, we had with Shelley. Kick those magical goals. Isaac Bacon with his celebration. He always loved to do. And Adelaide had responded with this. And good on them. So let's get straight into the next game. Sunday afternoon football. Now, this is a big one, I gotta say. Western Bulldogs. Wow. a game of football and say 4 quarters of football, as I mentioned during this review. It was even. Melbourne MCG, they love it. Old school. Still very good at MCG in today since Simon Goodwin's took over coach. They have used that oval perfect. They've had some change up and downs, but Western Bulldogs started perfectly. Melbourne just didn't look like it. And I watched that first quarter, but Melbourne just won after quarter time. 4 goals to 2. Half time. Couple goals in it. Nothing. A lot of these games were about 2 goals, 3 goals at the half time point. Except maybe it was the LA game. But then it was even in the first quarter. 2 goals each. And then once again, 6 goals to 2. Melbourne just dominated. And Aiden will share the stats on the screen in a minute. But with both teams, Western Bulldogs went to sleep. They have to bounce back next Gold Coast. I think they would, but it'll be a good challenge. But Melbourne's got another big game as well. Do they have a chance to go back-to-back wins? Well, let's find out. But Aiden, let's hear your thoughts.
Here we go. So, for me, I don't know where this come from because this was not... If you look at Western Bulldogs versus Melbourne, you always think of hard football, tough games, the drawn-out contests. But Melbourne just took off after half-time. I think this is a result of the Bulldogs having a lot of players injured and them trying to still recover from that and put the team together. So the game was very Melbourne dominated. I think, well, it was. Clayton Oliver had 35 touches. Cade Chandler 3 goals, Jack Billings 5 tackles. So Jack Billings 140 fantasy. So 5 tackles, and that's the high for the game. And it tells me that a lot of people were doing a little bit of work, which is where Melbourne win a premiership. This game was the grand final a couple of years ago, and this is how Melbourne win a premiership. Was lots of people doing little bits of efforts on defense, and that's where Melbourne need to get back to go back to win another premiership. Because last year it was more about Melbourne having players who would do a lot of the load and people just standing around not doing much. Whereas now there's players doing a little bit of load, and someone else does a little bit of load, and someone else does a little bit of load, and it puts these results on the table for Melbourne.
Yeah. So we've got 2 more games. And we've got some big announcements as well. Wow, we're going to the South Australia City of Churches, Port Adelaide, the other South Australian team. They take and host West Coast. Let me just tell you about Port Adelaide, and then we'll get to West Coast. Under some exciting debut for West Coast and the AFL in the #1 draft. But Port Adelaide, they got good list. Good effort, West Coast. The second half, you never gave up. You were in that contest. You scored 70 points. But anyway, moving forward, good effort from both teams, like I said, Port Adelaide just dominated, poor kicking, and that's happened in the first round. Practice your goal kicking. Don't rush. Port Adelaide not doing it. West Coast point, the #1 draft. Well done, fella, to come to Adelaide. You're going to be a decent player for West Coast in the future. But you hit 16 disposals on debut and got 2 tackles as well. So it's a pretty good effort. And you're going to be a pretty decent player for West Coast. And West Coast are starting to rise the occasion. They didn't give up. So Aiden, over to you. We've got 2 more games for opening round and we'll get some exciting news.
Well, isn't it funny how our 2 most hated teams played each other? You obviously being Crows and me being Fremantle. But Harley Reid is, and it pains me to say this, and I hate this, is the next big thing in the AFL. Why West Coast? He had a brilliant debut. It didn't go his way, didn't go West Coast way, but I don't really think they were expecting it to go their way, to be completely honest.
Yeah, agreed.
This game should have been a lot bigger. Port Adelaide 16-24 is not a football score. You need to be 24-16. You need to be able to have more goals and points at the end of the day. And I know that people are going to say, but there might have been some rush behind, rush touches, touch throw, whatever. I've always believed that the AFL score box needs to have a separate section for rush behind so we can take them out of your score. We'll get to that another day. Just 24 behinds in round 1. You had the scoreboard pressure, but if you kicked those as goals, this game would have been long over. But yeah. I just think for West Coast as well, the ability to sit back and look at it and say, at the end of the day, okay, they had 40 scoring shots, but we only lost by 50 points. That's a huge thing to say any football team. When you put the stats up on the board and you go in and you say, look at how good our defense was, our pressure was, we held them to 24 behind, 16 goals, 24. That looks good on paper. Now it just needs to start to translate into results for West Coast.
Final game. Me do it first, and I'll let you share your thoughts of your Fremantle Doggers round
Why
one.
are you so scared? We won.
Not the stat, because you're saying you didn't, at like last episode, you did say you didn't want to know about the Fremantle and Brisbane game. And there was, you had to say you didn't want to watch it, and you got your wish. Well, I'm on the win. Going forward, I'll share Fremantle secondly, but Brisbane came the heat. What happened? Fremantle found magic. And I'm going to say this, as for Fremantle supporting next to me, the Lions got choke. I'm going to say that, and he was laughing right next to me, by the way, if you hear that sound. But my goodness, 5 goals to zip in the second quarter. In Perth, your Purple Army got the tick off. Now, this game, I've got to say, best game for the round. Not more points. It's a hard road trip. Yes. Or even Adelaide. It is not easy to go to Perth and win a game of football. Yes, Brisbane came 5 goals to 3. They responded. Wasn't enough. 4 goals. But I'll let Aiden share the stats because I think he'll be, this play especially, should be my captain, but unfortunately it was a Nick Dacos point of view, but he dominated. Yeah, so Aiden, I'll let you share your thoughts, Fremantle versus Brisbane.
This was brilliant. With everyone on Fremantle did a little bit. But Caleb's so wrong. Club and West Australian record. Yeah, a West Australian record. 46 touches in an AFL game. Jai Amos, 4 goals. Hayden Young, 10 tackles from the midfield. Caleb's on 161 fantasy points. The purple haze is real, ladies and gentlemen. Fremantle are a danger. If they can keep this up and keep finding ways to pull magic out of the bag, we're going to win a premiership. And I'm loving every second of this. It's one of those games where you don't think you're going to win. So you just don't worry about losing. And that's exactly what Fremantle did. And I'm sure Brisbane people are going to be coming out of the woodwork and saying, Kadeem Coleman's injured. We didn't have Lockie Neal. Wah, wah, wah. Stop crying. You lost to Fremantle. You still should have beat us. You were runners-up last year. You look like everyone's saying you're going to win the premiership this year. Well, you're probably not. And the team you lost to might be the team that wins the premiership. But that's all we got for round one.
Well, it's only early days, mate. Just one step of the game. So, guys, let's get in some exciting news. It's been on, like I mentioned, the Monday, 2024 March. And the date was the 18th.
Yes, it was the 18th.
Now, unfortunately, Tasmania is being around the news for a long time, and Aiden can share the 19th AFL team. Well done, AFL. It's been a long road coming. There's a lot of Tasmanian athletes in the AFL. Wow, it's a big deal. Tasmanian Devils. It's also a basketball team in the NBL, which I will share very shortly. Make it short and sharp because we're well done to the biggest news in the AFL, Tasmanian Devils. You know, good luck with everything going behind the scenes. You got Aiden, over to you.
Yeah, no, Tasmania, absolutely brilliant. Well done. And the other good news for Tasmania is because the Liberals won the election, you get your stadium, which is all the AFL asked you to do. Because I remember going back when you started to tell we want a football team thing in Tasmania, the AFL said you originally wanted to share games between Bellerive Oval in Hobart and Launceston Oval. The AFL said, no, you need a permanent facility, which I agreed with. You do need a permanent facility if you're going to have an AFL level team. So, with the Liberal government winning in Tasmania, that means that stadium is definitely getting built, which means you're definitely getting a team. And I can't wait to watch you guys. You know what? I reckon I should get my $10 membership just for the laugh.
Yeah.
You know, if you get a $10 membership, you actually get your name put up on the honour board in their clubs when they get it done.
Wow. See, that's a true sponsor. So, guys, we'll take a short second. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome back to the Sports Chat from the BJ Show with Aiden. So now we're going to go into some Aiden moments now with Aiden's BTISTW sped game in the MCG in St Kilda, as I mentioned before, with Aiden's 92nd week for the week. Aiden, I'll give it to you. What's happened?
Thank you. Okay, so the best thing I saw this week was Spud's game at the MCG. St Kilda lost money putting the game on at the MCG, being the Dockland Stadium's their home ground. But what a night it was. There were 60,000+ people there, and they got the win. Wanganeen Malera came out and looked like he's going to be the next star of the AFL, and everything went as you would for a game as important to the football community as Spud's game. Now, this game is so important because it celebrates the life of one Danny Frawley, a much-loved bloke in the football community who sadly passed away. So, to have Spud's game on such a big stage, have such a big night, get the win, that was everything St Kilda needed to do. I'm going to move on to my 90 seconds around the ground. So we're going to start off with this week in Australia. We had the Formula One race in Melbourne. Carlos Sainz won the race for Ferrari with his teammate Charles Leclerc in second. Lando Norris of McLaren came in third. The Australian drivers, Oscar Piastri of McLaren finished fourth, and Daniel Ricciardo of Racing Bulls came 12th. Also been going on in the States is March Madness. So that has been going off. There have been some massive upsets all the way through the first couple of rounds. We're going to get into the Sweet 16 game. So, Sweet 16 is the top 16 teams from the brackets. So the way for people who don't know how this works, is it's basically a quadrangular bracket. So 16 teams playing 4 sub-brackets over the full tournament. So, the Sweet 16 games that we have on tap this year, we have 6 Clemson versus 2 Arizona. So these numbers that I'm giving are their seeds in their brackets. So there might be multiple 6s, there might be multiple 2s. We have 5 San Diego State versus 1 UConn. We have 4 Alabama versus 1 North Carolina. We have 3 Illinois versus 2 Iowa State. Then on the next day, so this is going over 2 days, we have the Cinderella story of the year, 11 North Carolina State, who beat University of North Carolina in the ACC title game. What a game that was. I watched that. That was brilliant. Against 2 Marquette. Then we have 5 Gonzaga over 1 Purdue, 4 Duke and 1 Houston, and 3 Creighton and 2 Tennessee. Also, coming back to Australia, we had the Sheffield Shield final in these last couple of days. West Australia absolutely tore apart Tasmania, winning by 377 runs. And this is West Australia's 3rd straight Sheffield Shield, so they've got a lot of players coming through there who are looking for selection into the Australian team. So that's all I've got for this week. Ben, back to you.
Thank you very much, Aiden. So, in Australian part of the news, let's get straight into it. This is the biggest news. As I mentioned, Tasmanian Devils in the AFL now. This is basketball. This is a big deal. A small state, and wow, if you saw this on ESPN or over social media, Jack Mackay used to pay the Adelaide Phoenix, now paying for Tasmania. 43-inch away from the basket. That's about a foot and a bit over halfway from their offensive side. Bang, with 2.1 seconds.
I believe it was a swish as well.
And it was a switch indeed, Aiden. They knew that there was no timeouts for Melbourne to win the game. It was, I believe, Tasmania. They got the job done in Melbourne. It is a hard saving to go to Melbourne, to go to Perth, to go to Sydney, as well as Adelaide. Every state is hard to play on their home gym, their stadium, their basketball, anywhere you like. Well done to Tasmania. And I heard Jack Mackay's voice. He was motioned. He was happy. He believed it. And it was, job's not done to that. In the next couple of days, it's Thursday, 7 p.m, straight Eastern Standard Time, around the globe where you're on ESPN and KO. KO is a sports app as well. ESPN is everywhere. Tasmanian hosting Melbourne. Tasmania can get the job done. It's the first time in NBL history that they have won a championship in the last 3 seasons. And their second grand final appeals. They go to Perth and then get the job done. So, good luck to Tasmania and Melbourne. And one big exciting news going into, I'm doing a 40 tip competition and I'm not doing so great, doing a bit of fantasy as well, guys, as well. And the biggest one, if I can get my ESPN app on my screen, Basketball Around the Globe. I hope you're all excited about the NBA Finals will be a different stage of the story. So, weather report now. My goodness, change of season coming into Australia, but especially Adelaide.
It's footy time.
It is footy time, and it's winter's coming. BJ's other sports off the ground. So, well, that's it, guys. Stay tuned for more. Hey, it's another episode of the BJ Show Sports Chat as we chose. Thank you for listening. See you next time for more. The Sports Chat, the BJ Show. Bye for now.
See ya.